Hi, this is Mrs. Leonard, and this is the homework help for the Locating Earthquake Epicenters practice. The one that we had to do for Tuesday night, which was January 7th, is this column. So we're going to do the first one. I'm going to do the first one right here. And if you remember from your notes, we always put the S wave first. And the reason we always put the S wave first, which is 6 hours, 48 minutes, and 0 seconds. That's because it's the bigger number, because if you remember on a seismogram, if this is our seismogram, if there's barely any shaking and then suddenly the P wave is the first one that comes in and then the S wave comes in later. And so let's say this is 10 a.m. and this is 11 a.m. because time is always moving forward. Then that means that the S is always going to be the bigger number. So that's always the one that we put first because that makes for easier subtraction. So then I'm going to subtract the P wave, which up here is 6 hours and 45 minutes. Like this. So when I subtract, I always start from the right-hand side first. So that's 0 seconds. 8 minus 5 is 3, 4 minus 4 is 0, 6 minus 6 is 0. So my final answer, which I'm going to put up here, is 0 hours, 3 minutes, and 0 seconds. So if you didn't get those, you should pause the video right now, go through and answer the rest of the questions, and then when you hit play again, I will fill in the correct answers so you can check your answers. Okay, so hopefully you did all of those questions. I'm actually going to erase some of these since I only did up to those. So you can check your answers up at the top and then down here at the bottom where I showed the subtraction. I'm on number 7 right now. Number 7 was one of the trickier questions. So if you had a hard time with number 7, 8, 9, and 10, that's because the math is a little wonky. So I'm going to go through number 7 and 8 with you so that you can see how those are done. So number 7 is 19 for the S wave. Let's change my pen here. For the S wave is 19 hours, 29 minutes, and 20 seconds. Subtract the P wave, which is 19 hours, 23 minutes, and 50 seconds. Now the problem is we can't subtract 20 minus 50. So we have to borrow a minute from over here. And I'm going to switch to a different color so you can see this a little bit better. So I'm going to borrow from this 29 and turn it into 28 minutes. Now if you're borrowing a minute, you have to convert it over here to seconds. So 60 seconds are in 1 minute. So when I borrow this minute, I have to convert it into seconds, 60 seconds, because there's 60 seconds in a minute. But I can't ignore this 20 that I already have. So I have to add those 60 seconds to the 20 seconds I already have, which means then I'm going to end up with 80 seconds. So I usually cross that out at this point once I'm like, okay, 60 plus 20 is 80. Now my 80 seconds, I'm going to subtract 50 seconds from that, and that's 30 seconds. Now I can do 28 minus 23, which is 5 seconds. 19 minus 19 is 0 seconds. So the answer for number 7 is 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So you can pause this video, go ahead and try number 8, and then replay again, and I'm going to show you how to do that one just in case you get stuck. All right, so hopefully you got your answer. So let's see if you got it right. We should do 9 hours, 36 minutes, and 10 seconds, because that's my S wave. Subtract from that 9 hours, 32 minutes for our P wave, and 20 seconds. When I do that, again, I'm going to switch colors here so that we can see what I'm doing. I can't do 10 minus 20, so I have to borrow from my 36 minutes. I'm going to make that 35 minutes. I'm going to convert that 1 minute into 60 seconds, add that to my 10 seconds I already have, and now that makes it 70 seconds. Cross that out because I no longer need it. And now I'm going to say 70 minus 20 is 50 seconds. 35 minus 32 is 3 minutes. And 9 minus 9 is 0 hours. So you should have gotten 0 hours, 3 minutes, and 50 seconds. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do number 9 and 10. You do those again. Pause this video, do those questions, and then come back and see how you did. Okay, so hopefully you got those, and now we're going to check your answers and see how you did here. So number 9, my S wave is 15 hours, 52 minutes, 23 seconds. I'm going to subtract 15 hours, 46 minutes, and 42 seconds. Again, I can't do 23 minus 42, so what I'm going to do is borrow a minute from 52. That's going to make it 51. I'm going to convert that minute into seconds, add it to my 23 seconds I already have. 60 plus 23 is 83. I'm going to cross this out because I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to say 83 minus 42. Now, if you don't have a calculator handy and you have to do this math in your head or do this, that's fine. You go 3 minus 2 is 1, 8 minus 4 is 4, and bam, it works out. Over here in the minutes column, it's a little bit trickier because I can't do 1 minus 6. This is where you can do the regular borrowing because you're just borrowing minutes and making sure that they're still minutes. You're not changing them into seconds. So if I'm borrowing here to do 1 minus 6, I can borrow from this 5, change it to a 4, and just put the 1 in front of that 1, making this 11 minus 6, which is 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. And then 15 minus 15 is also 0. So as long as you are borrowing within the same units, like if you're borrowing within minutes, then you can use the regular borrowing thing. It's only when you're switching between minutes and seconds and hours that you have to worry about the weird time math thing. So this final answer up here should be 0 hours, 5 minutes, and 41 seconds. All right, and the last one, number 10, this one's a little tricky because you have to borrow from the hours. So let's set this up. This should be for our S wave, 5 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. P wave is 4 hours, 55 minutes, and 0 seconds. So it's really easy to do the seconds, obviously. 0 minus 0 is 0. But then you get over here and you're like, wait a minute, 0 minus 55, what do I do? And it's the same thing, except this time you're borrowing from the hours column. You're going to change that to 4 hours. And now you're going to take that 1 hour and you're going to convert it into minutes. How many minutes are in an hour? If you said 60, you were correct. So now I'm going to change this 0 to 60 minutes. And now I can do the same subtraction. 60 minus 55 is 5. 4 minus 4 is 0. And so you should have ended up with 0 hours, 5 minutes, and 0 seconds. Okay, I hope that this helped. Okay, so now we are going to take a look at the homework that is due for the night of the 8th, which is Wednesday. This is the epicenter distance, and this is the one that you need your earth science reference tables for. So we're going to start with this number right here. We're going to take this difference between the P and S wave arrival times of 3 minutes, and we are going to try to figure out what is the epicenter distance for that time period. So that time again was 3 minutes, like that, okay? So this is going to be a little challenging for me to show you this because I can't just put a piece of paper up against the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a piece of paper and just kind of show you what that would look like. Okay, so if you don't have your notes out, make sure you turn to your notes right now so that you can read off the directions from your notes. So what we're doing right now is step 4. So step 4 says use the difference from step 3 to find the epicenter by following these steps. Step A, mark the time on a slip of paper using the y-axis of the graph on page 11 of your BFF. So this is that page. We're going to take a slip of paper and we're going to hold that piece of paper up against this y-axis. And you want to hold it down so that it goes down a little bit below the the bottom of the graph like this. And I'm also holding it a little off to the side so I can still see those numbers. And I want to see not only the numbers, but I want to see the little lines as well, okay? Because I need to see the little tiny lines for the seconds. All right, so my time that I'm trying to figure out here is 3 minutes. So I'm going to mark off 0 on my paper, and I'm going to mark off 3 minutes on my paper. So that's 3 minutes right there. So that's step A. Step 4B, slide the paper up and to the right until the marks line up with the P and the S lines. So I'm going to slide this paper up and to the right, just like this. You should be doing the same thing until we want this 0 line right here to match up with this P line. And we want this 3 right here, the 3-minute mark right there, to match up with this S line. So let's see if we can slide this around. And the other tricky part is that we need to make sure that this paper stays perfectly vertical, like I'm doing right now, right? We don't want to tilt it at all. So if I do this correctly, usually what I end up doing for this is I try putting the 0 on the P line right here, and I make sure that this edge is lined up perfectly with a vertical line. And then I look here and see, is this matching up with my S? And I can see that it's not. So that means I need to move this maybe 1 line over. So I'm going to try right there. And now when I look here, here's my 0 lined up with the P line, this P line right here. And it's perfectly vertical with this line. And the 3-minute mark is lined up perfectly with the S line. So now I can do step 4C. Step 4C says, follow the edge of your paper down and read the distance off of the x-axis. Don't forget to convert from scientific notation. So now, when I follow this line straight down, it looks to me like it is in between not in between. It looks like it's lining up exactly with this line. So if this is 1,000 and this is 2,000, each of these individual lines, we wrote this at the bottom already, that each box is 200 kilometers. We did that in class. So if this is 1,000 here, that means this is 1,200, 400, 600, 800. So the correct answer here for this one should be 1,800 kilometers. So now I can come over here to my worksheet and I can record this answer that I just came up with as 1,800 kilometers. So now we're going to go on to the next one, which is 4 minutes. So we're going to go back to our earth science reference tables. All right, so now I'm going to get rid of some of these things. I'm going to keep that 0 there on my paper though, because that's actually kind of helpful. So now what I'm going to do is I need to figure this out for 4 minutes, right? It was 4 minutes for question number 2. So now I need to move my paper over here so that this lines up with my 0. And now I'm going to mark off 4 minutes. So my 0 is already on there. I'm going to mark off 4 for my 4-minute mark. And now I'm going to move my paper, slide this paper up, and see where it matches up. Okay, everything on my paper is moving, so I'm just going to do a really quick erase to get rid of some of this stuff, like that. Okay, now we're going to move this paper so that the 0 lines up with the P line, and I think I went too far, right? Because I can see that my 0 is lining up with the P line here, but my 4 is not. My 4 is not lining up with the S, so I have to go back. So I'm going to slide this back. Let's try here. Ooh, yeah, that seems to look really good, right? Because my 0 is lining up here, my 4 minutes is lining up right there. So now I can follow this straight down, and it looks like this is right on that line. So if this is 2,000, 2,200, 2,400, 2,600. So if I go back to my paper, I'm going to record 2,600 kilometers. So 2,600 kilometers. And now we're going to go on to number 3. This is 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay, so once again, I'm going to erase some of these lines that I drew before. And I'm going to start over again with 5 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm going to move my paper down here. I erased my 0 too, and I didn't mean to do that. So I'm going to need to put my 0 line here again. And now I need to find 5 minutes and 40 seconds. Here's 5 minutes right here. So you should already have written down here that each box over here on the y-axis, each box is 20 seconds. So if you don't have that written down on your reference tables, go ahead and do that right now. So since each box is 20 seconds, and what I'm looking for right now is 5 minutes and 40 seconds, if this is 5 minutes right here, then that means that the first line is 20 seconds and the second line is 40 seconds. So my line should be right here for 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And so now, same thing as before. I'm going to take this box and I'm going to move it. I'm going to erase this again so it doesn't follow us along. I'm going to move this all the way so that my 0 lines up with the P line and this 5 minutes and 40 seconds lines up with the S line. I'm just going to erase this little bit right here and redraw my line so it connects there. Okay. And now, again, I'm just going to try a couple of different places here. So what if I try here? So right here, the P line lines up with the 0, but this is not quite lined up. So I'm going to slide that over a little bit more. Sometimes I'll just go by line. Try that one. Nope, not far enough. Try this one. Yeah. So that one looks pretty good. So I think I can safely say that that's probably the correct answer. If I follow this straight down, I end up with exactly 4,000 kilometers. So for number 3, you should have gotten 4,000 kilometers. All right, on to number 4. I'm going to go a little bit more quickly through these, so hopefully you figured this out. If you are still struggling, maybe go back and rewatch some of the videos or go back earlier in this video where I go through it a little bit more clearly, because I'm going to go pretty fast from here on out. So the next time is 7 minutes. So we're going to go back to our reference tables. I'm going to erase what I've got here again. I'm going to try to keep that 0 line. And now we're going to move that 0 or our paper back to the 0 line. I'm going to mark off 7. You can tell I'm at school. I'm going to mark off the 7 on my paper, 7 minutes, like that. And I'm going to slide this over until the S and the P waves match up. I think that looks pretty good. Maybe this one. That one looks a little bit better, I think. Yeah. So I'm going to go with that. And if I take a look and I follow this straight down, it looks like it's at this line. So if this is 5, each box is 200. This is 5,000, so that's 5,200. So I'm going to record 5,200 right here, and I'm going to go on to number 5. Number 5 is 8 minutes and 25 seconds. So I'm going to go to my reference tables. Okay, so for this one, I think I'm going to have to take my entire paper here and get rid of this part and erase everything, because I need to make my paper a little bit bigger for this one. So let's make a bigger paper. Voila. And once again, we're going to line this up with our 0 mark right down here. I'm going to have to make my little 0 line And for this time, this was 8 minutes and 25 seconds. So 8 minutes is right here. This is 20, the first line is 20, the second line is 40 seconds. So I think that 8 minutes and 25 seconds is probably right about there. I'm going to label that 8 minutes and 25 seconds, and then I'm going to slide that paper up and to the right. I'm going to try and line it up as best I can. I think it's probably right there. Maybe it's here. Yeah, I think it, no, actually, to be honest with you, I think it's in between. So I'm going to go with in between for this one, although it's probably a little farther apart. So I'm going to say it's right here, because you guys are probably getting that as well. And if I follow that one straight down, I end up with exactly 7,000. So on my homework paper, I write 7,000, and then I'm going to go on to number 6. For number 6, the time is 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So I go to my reference tables. Again, I'm going to get rid of this part. Bring my little paper all the way back here to 0. And now I'm going to mark off 5 minutes and 5 seconds. So if this is 5, the next line up is 5:20. I think it's going to be, so very close to that bottom line. I'm going to call it right there, 5 minutes and 5 seconds. And then I'm going to slide my paper up and over until they match up. There, nope, there. That looks pretty close. Maybe this one. No, I think it's going to be this one right here. So looks like if I follow that one straight down, boop, 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 boop. Looks like it's 3,200, 3,400. So that's 3,400, and I write that on my homework. So 3,400, and now I'm going on to number 7, which is 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so we're here at our reference tables again. This time we are doing 5 minutes and 30 seconds. So bring our paper down here to the 0 mark, mark off 5 minutes and 30 seconds, which is going to be halfway between the 20 and the 40 mark. And now I'm going to slide my paper up. I'm going to see where it lines up. You know what? I don't like how that line for my 0 is not all the way to the edge. So I'm going to make that all the way to the edge. And now I can see if this lines up. Looks like it lines up perfectly right there. So if I follow that straight down, that is the 3,800. So that's number 7. So that should be 3,800. And you should be seeing a pattern here, right? So the last one we did was 5 minutes and 5 seconds, and that was about 3,400. But the bigger number here, which is 5 minutes and 30 seconds, ends up being a little bit bigger in terms of the distance. This 8-minute number was a lot bigger, and so the distance was a lot bigger. 3 minutes was a lot smaller, so that distance is a lot smaller. So hopefully you're starting to see that the smaller the difference is between the arrival times of the P and S waves, the smaller the distance is going to be. The bigger the difference between the P and S waves, then the bigger the distance is going to be from the earthquake to the epicenter. All right, so let's go ahead and do number 8, which is 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Okay, so we're back at our reference tables. We're going to bring this paper all the way back down to the 0 mark again. And I'm going to mark off 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So here's 3 minutes. This is 320, 340, 360, so 350 is going to be right in between there. And then I'm going to take my paper, slide that up. Shouldn't have to go too far now, it's only 3 minutes. Aha. And I think that looks pretty good. Let me see, let me try this one. Yeah, actually I think I'm going to go here. And if I follow that straight down, that ends up being 2,200, 2,400. Now again, remember, okay, so that's 2,400. So again, remember, if you are off by like 200, either up or down from the numbers that I'm giving you here, that's okay. You can be within 200 kilometers and still be fine. That is still within ballpark, okay? Because there's always a little bit of difference depending on how you're interpreting where the lines are. All right, last two. Number 9 is 5 minutes and 41 seconds. So we are going to move our paper over here to the axis, and we're going to mark off 5 minutes and 41 seconds. So this one, I'm going to say that's pretty much right at the 540 mark right there. So that's 540, I'll call it 541, but it's pretty much the same as 5 minutes and 40 seconds. And I'm going to take that, slide that up and over so that they match up. Oh, this looks pretty good. Yeah, so I'm going to say that's probably right there, which is, if I follow it straight down, exactly 4,000. So 4,000 kilometers. Again, you can be within 200 and still be fine with that. Because I think on the board in class today, I might have actually showed you that it was 4,100, and that was fine. And then the last one is 5 minutes. So we're going to move our paper down and line it up with the 0 once again. We're looking for 5 minutes exactly, which is pretty easy to do. Boom, there it is, 5 minutes. And then we're gonna slide the paper up. And I'm still having that same problem with my 0 line, so I'm gonna extend that a little bit to the edge there. There we go. So that way when I do slide this paper, that mark is all the way to the edge. I end up getting a little bit better results when I do that. Actually, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that's, yep, I think I'm gonna go with this one right here. And so if I follow that one straight down, that's 3,200, 3,400. So there you have it, 3,400, that's our last one. Whew, that was a lot. So hopefully I hope that this was helpful for you. And we will do some more practice in class as well so that you have a chance to really become a pro at this and really master it. But thank you for watching. Great job, and I'll see you soon.